Hey, before the video starts, I thought I'd let you know that this is the last in a 3-part series. If you haven't seen the other 2 videos, click on one of these annotations, it'll help this one make a bit more sense. Otherwise, please enjoy.
Well, my friends, Halloween is come and gone, but we finally got the first true return to Evil Dead since Army of Darkness, and it kicked ass. But before I pack it in, I have one more of these things to review. And as of now, it is the last Evil Dead game to have been released. That does not count, and you know it. Nope, today I'm looking at Evil Dead Regeneration for the PlayStation 2.
Our old pals at THQ are back as publisher, but we've changed development teams for the second time, and now Cranky Pants Games gets an opportunity to leave their mark on the franchise. Information on these guys is a bit scarce, but as far as I could tell, they were in charge of porting Red Faction 2 and Summoner 2 to the GameCube, and developing this game. The same team developed Destroy All Humans Path of the Furon, although under the moniker of Sandblast Games. But once THQ went under, they went with it. And after that resume, you guys have to excuse me if I went into this one with a bit of trepidation. I've been hurt before. The game starts up and what we're presented with is really promising. That title screen is awesome. And you know, I thought the presentation in A Fistful of Boomstick was good, but this is even a step up from that. Okay game, you have my attention. You see, Hail to the King? That's how you do it. This game deviates completely from the previous 2 in not only that it takes place during a different timeline, but it actually acts as a what-if scenario where Ash doesn't get sucked into the vortex at the end of Evil Dead 2. Yep, in this world, Army of Darkness never happened. The game begins with Ash once again giving us the requisite spiel about the Book of the Dead and all that stuff. And they do a pretty good job in recreating the look and the feel of the openings of the movies. We come in with Ash back at the Nobi cabin, which is really nicely detailed, and the model for Ash is absolutely gorgeous. It looks a lot more natural this time around, and I just love how expressive his facial animations are. There's not much time to appreciate the scenery, however, because we're immediately thrown into the action when a Deadite bursts through a boarded-up window. And I have no idea who the hell this guy is supposed to be, especially if this is taking place during the events of Evil Dead 2, as this seems to be implying. The fanboy urge to nitpick, however, is quickly extinguished when I take control of Ash. This is not at all what I was expecting going in. It's action-focused like last time, but everything here has been streamlined. The control of the chainsaw is smooth as butter. A couple more unidentified Deadites enter the room, and you may have noticed that the ammo counter is conspicuously absent. And there's a very good reason for that. In this game, there is no ammunition. Yeah, you heard me. In A Fistful of Boomstick, we retreated to the worry-free chainsaw. This game does you one better, and all weapons are ammunition-free, which allows you to do stuff like this. The controls this time around are circle for your right-handed weapons, such as your chainsaw or anything else you'll strap onto Ash's nub. Square is for left-handed weapons, all of which are ranged. X jumps, L1 blocks, R1 targets, and R2 and L2 swap the weapons of their respective hands. The way the combat is set up, you can attack enemies any way you want, but after sustaining a certain amount of damage, they'll become vulnerable. This is indicated by a green aura that forms around them. It's at this point that you can press triangle and have Ash do a finishing move. This causes everyone around you to stop what they're doing, and wait patiently for Ash to take out the nearest vulnerable Deadite in the flashiest way possible. While you're locked onto enemies, you can circle strafe, your jump button becomes a dodge hop, and you even have this forward roll maneuver. Ash's mobility has been improved pretty much across the board, and it just serves to make everything that much more fun. They do a recreation of the laughing scene, and it's alright, even though he doesn't actually make the chainsaw harness until later in the movie. You blow away the giggling furniture, and even more Deadites start to pour into the room. Who are you people? They do the bit where Ash gets pushed through the forest by the unseen force, which ends with him getting possessed. But here he's ripped as fuck. And believe it or not, it's not arbitrary fan service. This souped up steroid freak dead-eyed Ash is actually a game mechanic. It's like this game's Wrath of the Gods mode. And come to think of it, I can totally see how God of War may have been an influence, at least in this game's design philosophy. They cut out all the fat and gristle, and what we're left with is a relatively well-refined hack-and-slash sort of experience. And I can't think of a genre to which this series is better suited. After all the killing is concluded, Ash comes back to his senses, and fade to black. We snap forward to the present, where it looks like instead of leading people to victory against an army of the undead, our hero has been committed. And you know, I can't really blame them. If I came across a scene like that, and the only person left alive was a dude with a chainsaw for a hand who's raving about demons, I might have a similar reaction. It also seems as though they've gone with the Twisted Metal Black school of Asylum design. Ugh. Ash gets a visit from his lawyer, who's determined that he was telling the truth about what happened at the cabin.
Your whole story, the Necronomicon, your friends being possessed by evil, you being forced to butcher them. You were telling the truth. I thought you were crazy.
Professor Nobi's diary? But how did you...
And all it took for her to change her mind was the diary? Damn, girl. Can you really blame her, though? I mean, who could possibly resist his charms? She tells him that she snuck it from the office of a Dr. Reinhardt.
Dr. Reinhardt's office? Why would my shrink have Nobi's diary? That doesn't make any sense.
And after some of the old smooth talking, we get to meet the good doctor. What, didn't you know? All psychiatrists have evil underground laboratories. Yeah, he seems trustworthy. And he has a thick German accent because of course he does.
Such craftsmanship. So diabolically beautiful.
He's been experimenting with the book, and using test subjects he's been able to make deadites who haven't lost their minds, or something. He reads from the book, which has always ended well for all involved, and it's not long before the asylum is completely overrun. You take control of Ash as the walls spew chunks of what used to be guards and patients. But soon you obtain the pistol, and that's when the fun begins. You wander the asylum, running into scripted set pieces and enemy encounters. And it was this game that taught me that a pistol could obliterate a human torso in a single shot. Screw you, physics! Saving is done at these save points, and I'm just glad that the Asylum was able to fit these glowing demonic altars into the budget. I would have allocated some of that to clean their nasty-ass walls, but who am I to lecture this guy on his priorities? And I gotta say, these ancient demonic spirits are expending a lot of energy to be complete doorway cock teases. There's this bit with these insta-kill electric beams, and fuck you too, Cranky Pants. Ash then finds a medium-sized cardboard crate that somehow fits his bloody chainsaw, loaded shotgun, and very neatly folded tattered shirt. You explore more of the facility, fight more enemies, unlock things, do stuff. It's not long before you fight the first boss of the game, and hell yes. It took 3 games, but we finally got a competent boss fight. His attacks and patterns are fun, the theme is great, and it utilizes everything that you've learned and obtained up to this point in order to challenge you. You know, what pretty much all good boss fights should be. It's the new design philosophy that really allows for this, and I am all in. You take out Sparkster there, and Ash finds the Doc's workshop. You're confronted with the spirit of Nobi, appearing much like he did in Evil Dead 2.
Professor Nobi?
But how does Ash know that it's Nobi? I mean, he doesn't actually meet him until later in the movie in scenes that this game seemingly retconned. Sorry, I'll stop. Here, he seems to be acting more like a low-rent Zordon than the tortured soul begging for salvation like he was in the movie. Whatever. Nobi informs you that Reinhardt is attempting to find the notebook of which your lawyer Sally is currently in possession. And in order to put a stop to his evil plans, Ash needs to close portals that have opened up in areas around the asylum. But he won't be able to do it alone. And here is where we are introduced to the next big addition to this game's design. His name is Sam. He's a half-dead-eyed midget who resembles a partially rotting Larry Laffer and talks like he's seen Goodfellas one too many goddamn times. He's voiced by Ted Raimi, as in brother of Sam Raimi, and the voice of many characters in the Evil Dead films. Most notably the possessed Henrietta, so this is totally legit. In spite of that, and let me preface this by saying that there is nothing wrong with Ted's performance. Ted kicks all the ass, and he does a damn good job in voicing Sam. But the character and his writing are just...
Up goes the deadite! Yo, that's... Mind your own business! Ash, if you get a chance to pull your head out of your butt.
Yeah. Sam's shtick is that he is annoying and never shuts the fuck up. And he falls squarely into the trap that a lot of characters like this do. Note to writers. Constantly acknowledging that your character is annoying doesn't make them any less goddamn annoying. That isn't to say it's all bad. There were a few times where his banter with Ash put a smile on my face, but that was rare. In fact, the writing overall has taken a major hit. The actors give it their all, but this game is far behind A Fistful of Boomstick in that regard. Now, Sam isn't just an addition to the game's story, he's also heavily integrated in how it plays. And this comes in a few different flavors, the first of which is that they encourage you to abuse him as much as possible. He's functionally immortal, so for example, kicking him into a wood chipper all Fargo style causes him to become man pulp, but shortly after he'll spawn out of the ground and just tell Ash off.
You, sir, are an asshole.
This is used to solve puzzles, and it can be, and sometimes needs to be, used in fights. And this is another smart decision on the part of the developers. They made a character who's annoying as fuck, but made harming him a core game mechanic. Secondly, there are these sections where Ash will need to stand on these possession plates in order to take control of Sam and complete various objectives, such as flipping switches that you can't reach, exploring caves that are filled with poison gas, and riding these giant hulking deadites all bucking Bronco style. And you know, this also gets my stamp of approval. It's fun controlling Sam, and it does a lot to break up the gameplay. Good on you, Cranky Pants Games. Sadly, it's not all puppies and rainbows, because the third Sam integration comes in the form of multiple forced escort missions. Yep, they found a way to incorporate escort missions for a character who cannot be killed. You see, there are certain sections where the exit is blocked by these large, one-eyed, door-blocking assholes. They're soul-eater demons or something like that. And in order to placate them so that you can pass, you have to feed them demon souls. In order to do that, you have to find these demon soul eggs. I know, but just please stay with me. So you break these eggs, and Sam absorbs the little lost soul guy in order to take it back to Lips here. And even though Sam can't be killed, if he loses all of his health, he explodes and he drops the soul, which then floats back to the egg, and you have to start over from the beginning. And for each of these face things, you need to find and escort 3 souls. And if that wasn't bad enough, Sam's first instinct isn't to stay close to the guy with the arsenal and the chainsaw for a hand. Nope! He's eager to book it as fast as he can and take on the first group of enemies that he finds single-handedly. So if you don't chase after him, he will get himself killed as quickly as possible. These parts can lick it, so you feed the face and his mouth becomes a doorway to the next area. And this leads me to my next major problem with the game. I am all for crude humor when it's done well, and the Evil Dead movies aren't exactly Oscar bait.
Son of a...
But in this game, you get pooped out by a demon. Literally. There's a giant demon anus, complete with poopy farts. It just kinda feels forced and gratuitous, and it hurts the overall tone. There's a cutscene that shows Sally getting stranded in the middle of the road, and she decides to just kinda sit in her car and read the Notebook, rather than being proactive about her predicament. Meanwhile, Ash and Sam are exploring some catacombs en route to the first portal, and they run into the second boss fight of the game. This fight is also really well designed, and it's challenging. For those of you keeping score, that's 2 for 2. You take her down, and we cut to a scene of Reichwald in some other dimension screaming about the Notebook.
Please, deliver Professor Raymond Noble's diary to me, so I can discover what I've done wrong.
Dude, swallow some saliva before you overact. Next is a wooded area which is conveniently referred to as the woods. There's nothing particularly remarkable about this section until Ash finds a pile of scrap. He takes a moment and he's able to make what I can only describe as a hook shot. And while he can't actually pull himself to new areas, who cares? Once you get this baby, the game is done. And I don't mean that in a bad way. With it, you can and you will grab enemies from afar, shoot them off the spike with the boomstick, and then you can either juggle them to death or quickly skewer them again. And it even improves the escort sections. If you see a deadite killing Sam, you can just grab them from across the room and then kill them before they even hit the ground. There are other weapons that he makes for himself later in the game, like a kinda neat rockety launcher thing, and a flamethrower, but who gives a shit? Whee! We cut to Sally, who's just been kinda chilling in her car this whole time. Honey, you're a fucking lawyer and you can't afford OnStar or something? And yep, that's what you get for sitting there with both your thumbs up your butt. Good job. You make your way through some mines and you fight this boss with 2 sledgehammers. Awesome! There's a level that takes place on some shipping docks, and it's with a heavy heart that I must inform you that our boss battle winning streak has come to a screeching halt. You fight this big toothy fella, and all you really have to do is circle strafe and hit his tail, then shoot a rocket into his mouth when he's whining at you, do that about 5 times, and you win. All the damage you see is from the level leading up to him. He didn't even hit me once. Boo! You make your way through a cityscape, killing all who stand in your way, and Ash finds a shiny new chainsaw.
Fresh and release. Customized tuned pipe, 50-inch vented titanium blade, just like the one in my dreams.
Aw, look how happy he is. You feed the face, and once again it's poopy time. And why the hell would a creature that eats souls even make feces? Sam says the incantation to close the final portal, but he fucks it up.
Tell me you didn't just yawn during the incantation.
They're both sucked through the vortex, creepy Doctor acts creepy, and as luck would have it, the portal spits them out into the exact right spot so they can storm the castle and take on Reinhardt. You make your way inside, and...
Who's there?
A skeleton.
Red skeleton!
This area is like most of the others. You fight enemies, you pull switches, so on and so forth. And finally, they make it to Reinhardt's lair. Ash and Sam exchange a few choice words with Herr Doktor, and he gets ready to wrestle. This boss fight may not win any awards, but it's fun and it's kinda tough. You have to dodge his attacks, hit him with everything you've got, and make sure he doesn't heal himself with the Necronomicon. Keep that up, and he's toast. Sam closes the portal, and Ash gets to free Sally. But just as he's about to lay one on her, once again, cock-blocked by the damned. Ash has to put her down. They get pulled into the portal, and... nothing. The credits roll, and we never get an answer to where they end up. Fuck you, game. Here's another little writer's tip. I don't know if you expected there to be a sequel or something, but even if you want to hint at something more coming down the line, you need to provide a definitive conclusion to your game. You didn't entice me with a cliffhanger, you just succeeded in pissing me off.
That having been said, and I did not expect this to be the case, but this game was freaking awesome!
It was flawed, yes. The writing was subpar, and the comedy fell flat in a lot of places. There were those terrible escort missions, the game's ending blew the big one, and the whole thing was pretty damned short. However, this is the best game of the 3. The combat was fluid and fun, the level design was a major step up from last time, and even though I was mostly doing the same things within each level, it never really felt samey in the way that the other 2 games did. And it actually had some pretty good boss battles. With the other 2 games, I was just kinda glad that they were over. Resurrection left me wanting more. If they had been able to produce a sequel, I would have bought it in a heartbeat. I can safely say that if you really want to play an Evil Dead game, this is the one to pick up.
3 Evil Dead games completed. And you know, with Ash vs. Evil Dead getting such a great reception, I'm all in on a new game in the series, so somebody please get on that. Now if you'll excuse me, my Halloween's not over yet. See you next time.